Here are all the biggest territorial changes since I've been alive. Well, not exactly since I've been alive, but almost. I was not alive for German reunification all the way back in 1990, 35 years ago. I was, however, alive for the Velvet Divorce in 1992. I already know for some people I say 19 and they're like, 19! 19! You're a damn dinosaur. Kind of funny on one hand, we have two sides coming together versus in Czechoslovakia, literally a neighboring country, we've got two sides breaking apart. During that same time, we have the chaos that was the breakup of Yugoslavia starting in 1991 and while continuing all the way until 2006 when Montenegro separated. Then there was the chaos that happened in Bosnia. Man, seeing this compared to those first two events, this is in such a different league of chaos. At the very same time in 1991 to 1992, we have the collapse of the Soviet Union. So this specifically spreads across countries that were formerly a part of the Soviet Union. You're talking Central Asia, the Caucasus Mountain countries like Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan, then the Baltic nations, Belarus, and finally Ukraine. Unsurprising that all of these territorial changes basically comes to the same event, and that is the end of the Cold War, or just the fall of communism in general, at least for Yugoslavia too. In 1993, we have Eritrea splits, and then jump way forward to 2011, South Sudan independence. This is the newest country on earth. It's crazy that we're actually about to reach 14 years without a new country. Just considering the 90s, we were getting new countries, it feels like every day. Not really. There's also the Palau independence, this small island in the Pacific, and another big one, a handover of Hong Kong, 1997. That was where the British gave back that territory to the Chinese. Oh, let's also not forget about East Timor's independence in 2002. Now, this post was specifically titled Major Territorial Changes. That's not because we're just talking about independent countries. We're just talking about big territories, especially like the significance about it. I mean, the Panama Canal Zone is not necessarily a big territory, but yes, that was significant because it was the USA giving up control finally since 1903 back to Panama. What's interesting is we've covered a lot of events here, but there's definitely still other things out there. I mean, first of all, we're clearly seeing territory exchange hands from Ukraine and back to Russia. Also, Russia's excursions inside the country of Georgia. There wasn't necessarily territorial changes when America invaded Afghanistan and Iraq, but that was still really significant. Resource exchanges. Oil. Oh, apparently one of those provinces was slightly off. No Namibia, no HK and Macau, many Chinese claims and later border corrections. It must have been so nerve-wracking for Poland to be surrounded by that turmoil. Pretty amazing that they were the sea of calm during all that. I don't think I've ever heard the nation of Poland be described as the sea of calm. Usually the chaos was happening, and the chaos was happening within their own borders because of invading forces and stuff. It's a nice change of pace for the Poles, though. It is one of my favorite fun facts that all the countries Poland shared a border with during the Cold War don't exist anymore. Oh, no, reverse card. What about Somalia and Somaliland? Depends on what country OP is from. The USA, for example, doesn't recognize Somaliland as an independent nation. See, that's the crazy thing. Like, depending on where you're coming from in the world, like, you're not going to recognize all these changes. Well, probably all the changes that we talked about here, but there'd be more changes for you depending on what country you're in right now. I mean, there's also the Western Sahara territory. There's a whole bunch of like breakaway states that are like de facto breakaway states. They're not officially recognized. It gets complicated. For years now, the new expected world country officially recognized is supposed to be Bougainville, popping out of Papua New Guinea. It's because that referendum occurred all the way back in 2019, and it's supposed to actually go through in 2027. So we will see. Man, that referendum was crazy. 97% of people voting to become independent. This is definitely not a for sure thing, though. Definitely keep that in mind. Oh my God, does the Google AI want to get shot by the entire nation of Turkey to say that the next independent country could be Kurdistan? Bruh. Does the Google AI know what Turkey did? You know what? I'm just gonna stop right there. These countries have had the same dude in power for the last 25 years. Now, the key word here is in power. Maybe their title changed. I'm mainly talking about Putin here. He's been the president of Russia, also the prime minister of Russia. Bro, what's wrong with his eyes? Is he high? Looks like he's been chilling in Amsterdam for a minute. So Vladimir has been in power since 1999, but then his homie in Belarus, Lukashenko, he's been in power even longer. I don't know why. I'll never forget this. For some reason, when I was in Thailand on my TikTok, I was getting like pro-Lukashenko algorithm memes. I've never seen that before in my life. That was so weird. It was just one though. Nothing else ever popped up. I literally said out loud, what the f is going on? Another nation from the former Soviet Union, this leader from Tajikistan. Since I've been alive, this guy has been in charge. Oh yeah, I've seen this guy before. How could I forget those eyebrows? Then we have Ali Khamenei from Iran since 1981. He's actually completely blowing out all these other leaders. He's gonna be in power for almost 46 years soon. You know, you'd think he'd look a lot older than just this. Like, you'd think he would look like dust at this point. Finally, we have this guy out of Eritrea. He's been in power basically since Eritrea has been around. Djibouti, this guy's took charge since 1999. Uganda since 1986, getting close to Iran. And then Rwanda, this Paul guy since 2000. It's actually a lot of African leaders that have been in charge. Oh my gosh, these guys 79 and 75. Cameroon, that's honestly just impressive. Almost 50 years. Like, I don't know if this guy is a good guy or not, but he's doing something right. I don't know if I should say that. I don't know what he's doing, but he might be doing something right, possibly politically. And by right, I mean like, you know, being authoritarian. He's actually only the second longest ruling president in Africa after this guy from Equatorial Guinea. It's crazy that you can literally rule an entire country longer than myself and probably everyone watching this video right now, longer than we've been alive. Gaddafi infamously was in power of Libya for quite some time. Things didn't necessarily end well for him though. Just note that, not to overstay your welcome. Here's a couple more notable leaders that have been around for quite some time. We got, you know, famous ones like Kim Jong-un and Orban from Hungary. Dang, 37 years, damn. Just 3 more years and Turkey will be among them too. Sad. The Cameroon guy's probably going to win the next election by over 100% popular vote. My man Paul about to run for his 9th term at the age of 92. Cameroon about to be rejuvenated. The Taliban. Here are all the countries that recognize the Taliban's power in Afghanistan. This is their government after all, basically. However, there's only one place that actually recognizes that, and that's Russia. That's crazy. You would think there'd be, I don't know, at least one other one, right? How does not a single other country, how is it just Russia? And what does Russia get out of this? Are they planning on sending Afghanistan fighters to the Ukrainian front? Oh man, don't tempt them. North Koreans fighting side by side with the Taliban, Jesus. I mean, I don't know what other countries would want to recognize this. I would think maybe one of their neighbors, but then again, not so much. Maybe China if there was a reason for it, but I don't think there's not enough of a reason for it. I can see someone weird like North Korea or like Cuba or Nicaragua does some funky things, Venezuela, but no one recognizes that. Even though this is the case, like don't let this post fool you. This is exactly who is in fact in charge of Afghanistan right now. Now, whether you want these countries to actually say, okay, what the hell is going on with New Zealand? Sorry, I'm getting distracted, but what is this? Basically, other countries are probably planning to hold this above Afghanistan's head and be like, hey, what do we get out of it by saying, okay, fine, you guys are, I guess we recognize you. Bro, the world's barely accepting their new official flag. They still show the old one. Like, their flag is the right one. I don't know how long it's gonna take. All the video games pretty much updated the mods where this is basically the de facto flag. It takes a minute to get the world like on your side, I guess. Well, that sounds crazy, on your side, but if they stay in power for long enough over there, I'm sure another country will eventually recognize them. Afghanistan was the first country to recognize the USSR. The USSR was the first country to recognize independent Afghanistan in the early 20th century. These guys just keep recognizing each other and never actually make a friendship. In fact, they literally go to war with each other sometimes. Imagine showing this map to someone right after the Soviets left Afghanistan. There you go. Like it or not, Taliban rules the land. Yeah, I mean, that is the truth. I think the countries, everyone knows that is the facts, but, you know, no one wants to come to terms with it. They're gonna hold them diplomatically hostage, basically. That's what they want to do. Basically, just give it some time. This single country controlled more of the continent of Europe than every other country combined at one point. And we're obviously talking about the former Soviet Union, where their borders stretched from the Caucasus Mountains. Actually, shouldn't they have more of this? They had Ukraine and Belarus and all the Baltic states back then, and the Russian Empire even had Finland as well. The Soviets did not, though. It's weird this map is showing like the modern day borders. I get just to let people know where all the modern borders are. You probably are familiar with the modern borders more than the old ones, but this doesn't even really show the USSR's true power, because remember, they basically had control over the whole Warsaw Pact from Poland to Romania, Bulgaria and Hungary and Czechoslovakia. I mean, they were huge. I mean, here's really showing a map of the true extent of the USSR. Obviously, this is not the case anymore, but damn, I mean, when you're looking at this map, no wonder the West was so terrified. It had East Germany as well in that pact. Bro, even after the collapse of the Soviet Union, have you seen Russia's territorial lands today? They are still so far ahead of anyone else. Like, Like, they're so massive. You'd have to combine either Canada, the USA, or China to come close to Russia's numbers, to barely squeak by them. What's funny though is even though the USSR was such a massive territory that they controlled, their population would still only be slightly behind America's right now in 2025. Yeah, the Russian Empire was even bigger. It's hard to comprehend. This is the craziest comment though. Even after all that said, the Soviet Union isn't even in the top 3 biggest empires of all time. That's still easily the British Empire, the Mongol Empire, and like we just said, the Russian Empire. And a bunch of that 49% were satellites, quite an impressive display of imperialism. Who exactly has the largest stadium in Europe? And of course, we're talking about football stadiums. That is the biggest event here. So among the biggest, we got Italy with a stadium that holds almost 76,000 people. The French got a stadium that holds 81,000 people. So did the Germans. The Brits that holds 90,000 people. Look at Ireland, like a significantly smaller country, yet, I mean, they got a massive stadium here too. Ireland's like 1/10 the size of the Brits, but they still have a huge stadium. Compare that to, dang, Czechoslovakia, are you guys even trying? Maybe they're not big footy fans over there. Like, we can let Montenegro go for this. Oh, looks like Kosovo is about to get a 30,000 stadium, raging Serbia here. Croatia, who was in the 2018 World Cup Finals, they only got a stadium that holds 37,000. It's a little weird. Greece losing the war against the Turks over here for largest stadium. Their stadium over here holds 76,000. Meanwhile, the Russians with 81,000. The Swedes kind of showing up all their Nordic brothers. Again, these are just the max capacity. This is theoretically they could fit this amount of people in a stadium. They probably don't on average. But number 1 was Spain, and they're really about to pull away soon because they're about to launch a stadium. I believe this is in Madrid. I think I saw this firsthand. It's going to hold over 100,000 people soon. Oh no, apparently this is in Valencia. I wasn't expecting that. Wait, this says it's only going to hold 70,000 people. Oh, okay. It is FC Barcelona. They're just expanding the same. I thought they were building a whole new one. Yep, this makes sense. I don't even really watch soccer, yet I definitely know Barcelona. This looks absolutely magnificent. Now, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. We got a lot of stadiums in the USA too, and yeah. I just know we have multiple stadiums that hold over 100,000 people. I'm not trying to say anything about that. I'm just, okay, as an American, I guess I'm a little bit surprised that Europe doesn't have more 100,000 plus capacity stadiums, because apparently we got them in the state of Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. It's 100K plus. What's funny too is this is not even for the NFL. A lot of these are football stadiums for college. Michigan Stadium holds 107,000 people. Beaver Stadium in Oregon, Ohio Stadium in Ohio, College Station in Texas, Kyle Field, Tiger. These are literally all college football stadiums. That's insane. I think it's easier to fit them in college football stadiums because like NFL stadiums, people don't always go to those. Those are really expensive tickets. Andorra just opened a new 5,600 seater stadium. Woo! Wow, can they fit their entire population in it? That's how they should have done this map. Like, do it compared to your overall country's population. We do it on a per capita basis. For some of these countries with smaller population, if we do like a percentage breakdown of it, it might be very impressive, even if it just holds like 30,000 people. It's not the size that matters, but how you use it. 20% of San Marino's population can sit in their stadium. And remember, in Ireland, that big stadium is for Gaelic football and hurling. Wow. I saw how big that stadium was in Ireland. Czechia is actually 250,000. Oh, because I guess some of these stadiums, people just flood around this stadium. Caucasus punching above their weight with those old Soviet stadiums. Way above their weight. And honestly, I expected nothing less. Here are all the countries without a single skyscraper, or basically no building over 150 meters tall. Now, of course, we're going to be leaving out a lot of the countries with huge population, although Australia definitely doesn't have huge population, yet they're still building skyscrapers. Now, that's a different situation. That's the interesting thing, because obviously Australia controls a lot of land, but the livable land in their continent is really just reduced to this and then Perth. They kind of require skyscrapers. This is a very interesting map if you really think about it, because it does kind of show the livable areas in each country. If you have less livable area, then you're probably much likelier to build skyscrapers. Oh, you also need a lot of money too, though. So maybe a country like Djibouti will have a skyscraper at some point just because they're kind of small in land area, but they're going to need cash. They're going to need a reason to do it. I mean, at this point, aren't skyscrapers just mostly built to flex on people? I mean, we're all working from home now. That's crazy that Dublin doesn't have a skyscraper. They had some pretty tall buildings, but nothing over 150 meters? I guess not. I was just misled because like every building is like 4 or 5 stories high, but that's about it. There's nothing in Belgium. Literally the capital of both EU and NATO. Also, Luxembourg is really rich. You'd think they would build some. Man, we're including some of the city-states. Maybe you would think, especially these city-states are really rich. Like Monaco is a very rich place. They clearly have skyscrapers. Liechtenstein has none. Nothing for Romania or Czechia or Hungary. Slovakia's got one. Nothing for all three Baltic bros. In fact, all the Nordic countries except for Sweden have no skyscrapers. Asia loves their skyscrapers. Obviously, specifically China, who has the most, but also India. There's plenty in Vietnam and Thailand and the Philippines. In the New World, it's really just reduced to some of the smallest countries over here. Kind of surprised we won't see more out of Peru, but you know, they just kind of build things on top of mountains. If they want a view, you know, you just go to Machu Picchu. Portugal is Balkan. Some countries just have too much mountainous terrain, I think, to build skyscrapers. Not that that stops you necessarily. Probably a lot of different reasons for this. I would love to know in the comment section. Again, yeah, mountains. Mountains reduce your need for skyscrapers. Nepal, why would they need it? A skyscraper in Liechtenstein would be higher than the country in diameter. Greece will soon no longer be on the list. They currently have 2 skyscrapers under construction. Portugal is just coming at 5 meters short. Denmark's first skyscraper should be made out of Lego bricks. I'm from Tripoli, and I'm happy we don't have any skyscrapers. As cool as they look, they kind of look soulless and forever change the look of the city for better or for worse. I'm seeing this sentiment from a lot of other countries too. As someone from LA, we do have skyscrapers, but I like skyscrapers. Like, I'm jealous of like New York, who has skyscrapers everywhere. I think they're pretty cool. Thank you to my patrons this month. Drew seems like the kind of guy who never loses the remote. Drew's Argentinian Trust Fund, Rip Grandpa. Drew Supremacy League. Alexander the Terrible. Carmel S. Connor Pavlik. Douche Baggins. Frederick Tiblin. King. Bear Hayes. Luxembourg Lover. Miglu. The Goat. Nolan. Lord Tyrol. And Tambrin.